Welcome back to the channel, guys. My name is Jared. In this episode, we are going to tackle the transom assembly. I need to get that thing removed because I plan on replacing the steering pin or swivel pin, whatever you want to call it. And it's kind of a pain in the butt, but I've said this before, with the motor out, there's never going to be an easier time. So let's get this transom assembly out of the boat. As much as I want to dive into these Christmas presents I've been getting here, this needs to get done because it's about to get really cold and I'm not going to be working outside a whole lot in the near future. So let's get this knocked out so we can keep pushing on with the boat. Back in 2017, I began a full restoration of my 96 Bayliner by tearing it apart all the way down to the hull. From there, I began the rebuilding process, which included learning to fiberglass, rebuilding an engine and outdrive, learning to fair and paint, and even upholstery. Now, I've bought a 28-foot cabin cruiser and I'm starting all over. Welcome, my name's Jared. Now get ready, because it's going to be a ship show. All right, so first things first, I'm going to get these trim rims out of the way. And before I do that, I want to disconnect these hydraulic hoses. I sprayed these with some PB Blaster and started getting them loose here. So let's go ahead and get these out of here. And it's going to most likely drain some oil here, so I got a bucket underneath. So let's get the 4 of these kind of zipped off real quick. Okay, so now I'm just going to knock off these 2 5/8 nuts on either side. To take note of that that's broken. That is not good. Now with the rams off, I'm going to pop off the trim sender and trim limit switches here. And then we're going to remove the shift cable, the retainer for the water hose, bellows. I mean, the bellows ring's already half out anyway, so let me get the impact wrench. So I'm going to have to hop up in the boat, turn the steering wheel, which kind of sucks because it's going to make power steering fluid go in the bilge, but is what it is. Okay, so as you can see, the reason we're removing these is so we can get to these hinge pins here, which hold the bell housing on. So now we got to turn the steering wheel the other way. Okay, so I'm going to turn it back the other way again now so I can get access to the back side of the shift cable. So that's the next thing I'm going to take out. So that's about turned as far as it's going to go. So before I do anything else here, I need to hop in the boat and I need to disconnect the end of the shift cable that connects to the motor. So let's hop in this dirty bilge. Okay, so I did loosen it already. So that is this cable here. So there's 2 tiny little screws that come in here that pinch from both sides, and that's what holds the shift cable core in the end. So I loosened those. That's the shift cable that runs down here and then goes through the transom right there. So what we need to do is then remove that, so that exposes the core right there. I'm going to set this aside. So this nut in here needs to be loosened to remove the shift cable. And if you look at the manual, it actually says to put a wrench on the backside. There's a sealing nut that goes back there that holds holds it in from the backside. So if I take my little probe here, yeah, so right there's that nut that's on the backside, that's the sealing nut. But if I turn this wrench on the front, that's not spinning, so I don't think I actually need to get a wrench in there, at least yet. So I'm going to continue removing this from the front side until I get the nut off on this side. And I don't remember if it just pops out or if you then have to unscrew it from the back. So I guess we'll find out together. There's the nut off of that. Okay, so next we need to get the water hose out of here. So I got to get the special tool for that to remove that insert. I don't know if it's going to come out easily or not. Sometimes I've seen that they tend to struggle on these, but this one doesn't look like real corroded or anything. So we'll see. Let me go get that tool. Okay, got the steering roughly straightened out again and prepped for the next step. So let's get this water insert out. I got the tool in here with an extension. So let's see how this goes. Well, the hose is twisting, which is kind of expected. At some point, something's gonna give. Don't know if it's gonna be the hose or not. Which is fine because I'm replacing this stuff. Probably just gonna cut the insert. Just for those of you that are wondering, this is the what that removal tool looks like. Okay, so here we go. And my battery's dead, of course. Careful not to go too far. Okay, so that should release the hose then. So it should be able to come out the back, which, yep, there it goes. Okay, now we need to remove the hinge pins. If this goes anything like I remember it going, like, it's gonna take quite a bit of force. You're gonna feel like you're breaking your boat, but it should work. So this is the special hinge pin tool. It's actually not that expensive. This is from my other boat, which is an alpha drive, so it's actually the same for both. These are regular thread, nothing reverse thread or anything weird there. Now I'm gonna try this, and if it doesn't seem to be going, we may have to resort to a little bit of the yellow persuasion here, so let's see what happens. Okay, it's moving, it's a good sign. Still a decent bit of force. Once it gets easier, I'll switch to a socket. But I don't want to go too far because I want this pin to still be supporting this side when I loosen the other side, because you're putting a decent bit of force on here. And here we go. I forgot it's going to try and spin up on me, so there we go. Ooh, there we go. Ooh, that one took a little bit more. It's freaking me out for a second. Okay, so you know what I didn't do yet, which should be pretty easy because it's almost falling out, is I need to remove the retaining ring for the bellows. That went pretty easy. Now, normally that wouldn't be the case. I think that was a result of when I removed the drive, the thing was all rusted in here. The gimbal bearing came out with it. Let's just pop this out of its groove. There we go. So that should be pretty well released. So let's get this pin out the rest of the way. There is our first hinge pin. You can see it has red Loctite on it, so that's part of the reason it was so tight, and another reason you may want to use heat. Now this should just work its way out. There is a continuity wire here. I'm gonna have to zip off real quick. I forgot about that guy. And also the shift cable's probably gonna take a little persuading to pop through there, but okay. So I need to pop off this continuity wire here. From what I can tell, it's a T20. Feels a little bit loose, but wait, why don't I have is T25 not a thing? Oh, it is. Why is that? Okay, yeah, that's better. It's a T25. Go. Whoop, that broke. That's great. Fun stuff. Excellent. Good times. Yeah, see, that doesn't... oh, it can't spin. Well, that's stupid. The manual says to put a wrench on the back, but the nut is in 2 slots, so it can't spin. So, I don't know if that was a design change or what, but it is wedged in there pretty good, so might have to get a little angry at it. Moving? Yeah, that's moving. Almost there. Sorry, you can't see what I'm doing, but I'm breaking everything. Can you see that? Probably not. There you go. That's the back side of that shift cable nut. So it actually sits in 2 slots in there, so it can't spin, but it's just kind of stuck in there because of corrosion. So I'm knocking on the front of this shift cable to try and pop it out the back, and then it'll be free here. And obviously, if you're not replacing your shift cable, you should probably not do this, but I am. And I would say if you're ever going this far with your transom assembly, you should probably replace shift cable anyway. All right, I need something that doesn't slip off so easily. And what that is probably not here because nothing I ever need is right here. You can see it's like most of the way out. It's just the rest of that's just kind of seized in there from some corrosion. It's almost there though. Oh, had a feeling that was going to happen. That's why you don't use screwdrivers as chisels. Eventually they just push through. New tool time. There we go. Yay! So at this point, I am going to take a quick break for lunch because I'm starving, and then we will come back and tackle the rest of this. I'm gonna get everything removed here we can. We're gonna do it all. Okay, so I'm gonna go grab something to eat. We'll come back and press on. All right, well, ate some lunch, feeling much better. So let's press on with this thing. Next steps are going to be getting all the old stuff off here, like the water hose, the U-joint bellows, exhaust bellows, the trim and limit senders I'm gonna be replacing, the speedometer tube I'm gonna replace, the drive lube hose that already came out with the bell housing, but I'm also going to replace the fitting in the transom. So let's just start getting this stuff out of here. Where I'm going to start is probably try and get both the U-joint bellows and the exhaust boot out of here. This doesn't have a bellows on here, which that's what I'm going to put back as well. The Bravo 3 drive is already restricted enough, so it's recommended to use the boot, not a bellows. Plus it's way easier to put on. So okay, so it's going to be hard to see, but back in there is the clamp for the exhaust boot. They actually have a hole in the side here that's meant to be for feeding the screwdriver through there to get to that clamp, but that needs to be a really long flathead screwdriver, but not large diameter, and I don't have one. This is the only long flathead screwdriver I have, but it's too big to fit through that hole, so that's of no use. So I'm going to try and go in there with the old Flexo screwdriver. And then for the U-joint, it's kind of hard to see because it's disgusting, but that's the clamp right in there. So we'll work on that. We also got the clamp on the shift bellows. So let's start with the exhaust. Try and feed this back through here. Okay, it's on it, and it is turning. Now I'm just gonna take the old giant screwdriver and break it free. It doesn't seem to be incredibly stuck. Let's see if it comes off. Oh, there we go. That was easy. Cool. Exhaust boot off. I think the new one comes with clamps, but either way, these are disgusting, so I'm not putting those back on. Let's try and get this U-joint bellows next. Same tool here, just going with the old flexi driver. This is pretty gross, so it seems to be working. Okay, now these are supposed to be installed with bellows adhesive, so I guess we'll find out. It can cause it to stick a little bit more, so find out what happens. Oh, it's spinning, it's a good sign. There we go. Cool. So far so good. It's not really fighting me too bad. Okay, and this is, I mean, the more of the stuff we get out of here, the easier it's going to be to get to this other stuff. So you don't have to go in this order, but if you do go in this order, things tend to go a little bit smoother. So next I want to get the shift cable bellows off. You see that? I think you can see that. Clamp is loose. That came off easy. So next I'm going to tackle the water hose. No, that's not true. Let me get these trim senders out of the way first, because there's a bolt right up here. That's what holds in the trim sender. So you loosen that clamp and then these will pull through from the other side. So let's do that. Don't know off the top of my head, but my guess is that is a 7/16. Yep, 7/16 it is. So in the last couple of clips, I don't know if I think I mentioned it when it happened. Basically all of the bolts or screws that were used for the continuity wires, basically every single one of them snapped off. So I need to figure out what I'm going to do to address that. Probably what I'm going to try and do is drill them out and just go to a bigger size screw. We'll figure that out when we get there. Okay, so there's my trim sender wires, which are loose. And then inside, I think they're probably zip tied to stuff, so that's good enough for now. And at this point, I think it's just the water hose. Let's hop in the boat and get the water hose taken care of. We also have the fitting in here for right there. It's hard to see because it's so dirty, but that hex shaped thing, that is the through transom fitting for the drive lube hose. I am going to replace that. I had already planned on it. I already ordered it because this piece here gets super brittle and tends to break, and sure as anything it did. So I already have the replacement for that piece. I think there's some aftermarket companies that make stainless ones, but I just went with plastic because I'm not trying to increase the galvanic corrosion issues with the Bravo drive. So, okay, let's hop inside the boat and do what we can in there. All right, well, as you can tell, it's looks a little different. It got dark out. Life happens, kids, sports, all that fun stuff. And I, for whatever reason, could not find the correct socket for these Y pipe bolts. I've done this before, so I don't know what I used last time, but it is a 3/8 12-point socket. So I ended up having to go out and get one. So I am going to attempt to get this Y pipe off, which who knows how that'll go. So let's start with these bolts underneath, wherever they might be. Uh-oh. Oh boy. Uh-oh. Don't like the way that felt. Okay, well, that one's moving. It's a good sign. Check these top ones. Okay. Those are pretty easy. Okay. It's just this one. Let me give it another hit of the old blaster. Ugh. I think I'm gonna need a pipe, which freaks me out that it's gonna take that much force, but it is what it is. Let me give it one more shot. Ooh, might have moved. Things are happening, but not easily. I feel like it's gonna break. I don't really want to get heat involved with the transom behind there and everything, so I'm gonna keep working this back and forth, hopefully not break it. Ugh, there's so much junk in this bilge. I'm gonna let that sit for a little bit. Maybe some of that PB blaster will work in there, and while that's happening, let's get the steering ram disconnected so I can move that out of the way. So to remove the steering, we should have a pin under here. Yep. Well, like just a cotter pin. Here we go. Cotter pin. This pin should lift out of the steering arm. Okay. See how it's feeling. Huh. Either that PB blaster is magic or something happened, because it's actually going really easy. Ooh. So we're gonna need cleaned up pretty good. But it's out. Yes. Y pipe. All right, with that out of the way, I can kind of get at some of this other stuff really a lot easier now. Ew. This is gonna need cleaned up so much. Oh man, those bolts are rough. Start hitting them now. These were definitely underwater at some point, up to about here, which for those of you that saw my motor health check videos and saw the flywheel on the back, you could see that this thing had some water. I mean, you can even see with the dirt marks back here that it was up pretty high. Well, I guess I gotta get the steering now. So on this steering ram, underneath this bolt here, has these locking washers with tabs that get bent up to keep it from spinning. So I just need to straighten that tab back out and do the same thing up here. It's back on the back side. So let me get those tabs straightened out and then we'll unbolt the steering ram. Every tool's a hammer, right? Alright, guess I wasn't recording, but break these top and bottom nuts loose with the wrench. I did that. I'm just kind of unscrewing them, and they don't have to be unscrewed the entire way to come out. It's just enough. Yeah, see, it just pins the top and bottom. I don't know what that is. Kind of looks like wet grease, which I guess is a possibility. Anywho, let's get this out of the way, or at least out of the way-ish. I don't know what that means. Maybe something like that. Yep, that'll work. Just want to get this continuity wire off of here real quick. Now, being on the inside of the boat, I'm hoping these ones don't just snap like the ones on the outside did. Okay, so that's what's supposed to happen. All right, still need to get this water hose out, which I'm not even going to mess with the tool this time. I'm just going to cut it like I did the other one. That was easy. Okay, that popped through the other side. That's good. I'm going to pop this. I don't need to do this now, but I'm going to. I'm going to pop this E-clip off. So, a little clip there. That is what holds the drive lube hose fitting on, the one that I talked about earlier that broke on the outside. So at this point, that should just pop through the other side and we'll replace that. I mean, honestly, oh, I guess the trim wires are here still. Where's the other end of those? There we go. Let's go ahead and feed them through. This is a little different than my last boat, and that one of these actually has a connector on it, and I don't know that that's going to fit through there, to be honest with you. Guess we'll find out. Yeah, this thing. So I don't know if that means it's like digital trim or what that is, but yeah, this was not on my last boat. Here goes the one. They do have an opening in the side here, like this connector could fit through, but man, I don't know. I'm just going to leave that for now. There's the speedometer hose fitting. I'm going to leave that for now as well. I don't think that has to come off. Okay, so let's just get this shift cable figured out. I think I need to go back outside the boat to do that, so I'll be right back. I'm back. So this shift cable, I forgot. It's been a while since I've done one of these. Thinking it had to come through this way, which seemed ridiculous. Like all that stuff on the outside is gigantic to have to fit through the shift cable bellows. I started thinking about it and it popped back in the bilge, remembered, oh, that's right. This comes off. So, sorry, there's like no light. My other light died on me, so let's put you over here. If the stupid light would stay. So the end of the shift cable, I forgot that this unscrews from it. So you can't take the barrel nut off because that's staked in place, but I forgot you loosen the jam nut and this comes off the end of the shift cable. So with that out, now we can just push this cable out through the transom, which, going back and thinking about it, makes way more sense. And there it goes. I guess really I need to disconnect the hoses from the trim pump because these need to come out with the transom housing. So let's get those disconnected. Of course, I don't have those wrenches. Let's try an absolutely gigantically oversized one. No, that's dumb. I also really should be backing up the fitting too, so. Wait, are they? No way. They're quick disconnect. I didn't know that was a thing. At least that one was. This one? What? That's awesome. Way to go, Mercruiser. It's kind of almost like they're expecting you to work on that. So you don't love all these screws in the transom down this low. So that is the trim ram hoses and the Mercathode wire. Well, I think we're ready to unbolt this guy from the transom. Oh, this is scary. I don't know why. It's really not actually, but... Oh, that is not that tight. Oh boy. That seems concerning.
I wonder what these are supposed to be torqued to.
Oh my gosh, even these rusted ones are turning easy. Ugh. I don't know if I mentioned this before, but fortunately these boats were built with a composite transom, so rot should not be of a concern, which is one good thing. I just want to take this off so I can get at this steering pin. I know you can buy those kits where you don't have to remove all this to change the steering pin, but I don't really love the idea of drilling a hole in my Bravo stuff. Plus this will give me a much better opportunity to clean all this out with all the stuff out of the way, so it's kind of a win-win minus the extra work. Okay, let's get this last nut off. I think we're gonna hop out of the boat. We'll take the transom plate off from inside. We'll hop out and see if we can't get this whole darn thing out of the boat. So in theory, well, minus this thing, I don't know what to do with this. I think I'm going to remove the pins out of the connector because I just checked my trim kit inside and I don't think I have the right one. So there's an analog, and I'm guessing this is the digital with the 3 wires. I'm going to need a small pick to get these out of here. Well, let's get this first while we're here, because that'll be fun and exciting. Apparently my cat's excited. Okay, well that's fun. Well, I'm going to go get a pin so I can take these wires out. We'll de-pin this, get those wires out, get the transom plate out of the boat completely. Then we'll hop back outside and pull the gimbal housing off. I'm not going to show de-pinning this, so we'll pick back up on the outside of the boat. Moment of truth. Ooh. Yes. All right, guys, that feels good to have that out of the boat. Whew, out of breath from carrying all the stuff in. Anyway, that's gonna do it for this episode. That was a lot of work. It went smoothly for the most part. A couple of hiccups there. Otherwise, can't really complain. So now that I got the stuff out of the boat, we're gonna have to give it a good cleaning. I'm going to try and edit this down to a reasonable amount of time because that took probably the better part of like 4 hours to do. Just kind of mostly honestly going to chase tools that I didn't have, constantly getting in and out of the boat. But I'm going to try and edit this down so you guys can see the overall process and try and keep it tolerable. So that's going to do it for this one. Thanks for watching. Hope you guys enjoyed. Don't forget to like, subscribe down below. And in the next one, we'll pick up on this and we're going to start thinking about upholstery. So we got a lot of stuff to cover. So we'll see you in the next one. Bye.